So the GDPR is a set of regulations by the EU. It's actually been around for a while, but it's kind of going through a really massive overhaul right now. It actually triggered, this overhaul triggered from a famous or infamous situation where Schrems, or a plaintiff called Schrems, sued Facebook and the EU and effectively got rid of Safe Harbor. Now what Safe Harbor was a scope of specifications to transfer data from the EU about EU citizens to the United States for storage and for use. In that decision, basically, Safe Harbor was found unworthy of that type of data transfer. In its place is Privacy Shield. It's a much stronger set of policies that governs this transfer of data from the EU into the United States for use in things like analytics or targeting, what have you. The GDPR behind all of this is now a set of regulations, and most importantly, it defines very specifically the rights of the data subjects, i.e. the EU citizens themselves, and what the controllers, the brands, and the processors, companies like us and Tealium and the rest of the marketing technology stack, right, what we have to do to protect those citizens. Penalties for non-compliance are pretty severe from a monetary perspective. Major infractions, something like not getting explicit consent from a EU citizen to collect and transfer their data, is 20 million euros and or 4% of total take. I mean, and they're going to go for the higher of the two, as it even states directly in the regulation. But more than that, the other penalty is trust. In today's world, brand trust is almost as important, right, as just getting the consumer to buy. How they talk about your brand, how they talk about the product, that's how you generate higher lifetime values. It's how you generate voice of customers to help you get more customers by doing nothing. And so, when we think about the penalties, we need to consider sort of the hard penalties, the monetary penalties, but also the soft penalties and what it could actually mean to your brand to be brought into one of these suits. Companies in the United States absolutely need to be concerned around GDPR, because this isn't about an EU company or a US company. It's about EU citizens, and we are in a globalized world, and in many cases US brands have websites that do have an international traffic, and so just by the nature of it, you are going to be impacted. I think Tealium's Universal Data Hub is in a great place to start addressing some of these concerns and some of the needs to get compliant with these new regulations. First and foremost, we're bringing transparency and governance to the business of what data is being used and where it's going in terms of what vendors it's going to. And of course, there's a ton of controls in place, things like our privacy widget, that can actually enable the consumers to have that consent and that transparency when they're opting in to your marketing programs, right? Of course, on top of that, we're building our business and developing our internal processes to be compliant with Privacy Shield and GDPR as we process and store this data. And we built an architecture that is globally distributed in order to make sure that we can address the storage needs of local markets.